Hello, everyone. I am so excited. We are so lucky today. We have Suzanne DiBianca here. She's the Chief Philanthropy Officer and the Executive Vice President of Corporate Relations for Salesforce. This is an incredibly important discussion. You don't want to miss it, so stick around.
Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show with your champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
Suzanne, welcome to the show.
Hi, Devin. Thanks for having me.
Well, the pleasure is all ours. Thank you for joining us. It's exciting to talk to you and to learn more about what you're doing. You're doing some cool impact investing things, and I want to learn more about that. But why don't you take a few seconds and sort of set the table for us? Um, you are a real power player in corporate social responsibility, corporate philanthropy. You're a lead innovator in that space. Tell us a little bit about what you've done, Salesforce's role, and how the impact investing then fits into that.
Sure, happy to. Thank you and Happy New Year, by the way. Great way to kick off the new year. I've had the privilege of being at Salesforce since the very beginning. So when we started the company, really, close to 20 years ago, we really had a new vision for what a company could be and stand for in the world, which is really to serve all stakeholders, not just your shareholders. So we really built the company with that premise in mind. And so I had the fortune of joining really early days. We were about 50 people. I built and ran the .org for about 16 years. And that was an incredible opportunity and experience. And we've given over 3 million in volunteer hours and over 200 million in grants, and 30,000 incredible nonprofits use our platform. And so running the .org was a real privilege and great experience for a long time. And then about 2 years ago, I sort of picked my head up and realized that we're doing way more than philanthropy as a company. We stand for equal pay for women. We went to the courts and battled policy as it related to, the LGBT rights and non-discrimination. We were doing work around the environment. We were doing work with underserved and opportunistic youth. And so we were really looking at, who were we as a social justice company? And so I really sort of stepped a little bit up and out from running the foundation and really looked at how can we now leverage this now 30,000 person company to really be an instrument for social change. And, as it leads into impact investing, one of the things that I realized is Salesforce had become the third largest corporate investor, most active corporate investor on the planet, next to Intel and Google. And we currently have about $1 billion off the balance sheet invested in the ecosystem. And so I wanted to run an experiment is if we brought some intentionality using all of the same tools as a strategic investor that the ventures portfolio used, but brought some intentionality to looking for social entrepreneurs in the for-profit space in the areas of education, workforce development, environment, and diversity and inclusion, could we find deals there? And lo and behold, it's been a fantastic experiment. We have invested in close to 20 companies just in the last 18 months. I'm proud to say our portfolio is 70% women or people of color founders, which is unheard of in the venture capital space. We know the law of large numbers. We'll take that down maybe a little bit over time, but we're really committed to that as a core principle of the fund. And we found some really incredible companies that we've invested in that are built on the Salesforce platform or that our customers are. For example, Andela is a great company that is training up developers in Uganda and in other places in Africa. And Google is using some of their development talent. Salesforce is using some of their development talent. Hustle is another great company that we invested in, which is really connecting people through text, doing a lot of work with politics. Classy, we're profiled Scott Chisholm, incredible company who's generated over $1 billion in donations on their platform. So it's been a wildly successful experiment so far.
Well, it is exciting to see what you're doing in that space. Now, you personally invented a OneOne program. I think you're proud of that, and I want you to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll circle back to the impact investing because I want to learn so much more about that.
Yeah, thank you. So the 111 was a little what I talked about as it relates to, it was 1% time, which for us is translating to 3 million in volunteer hours, 1% product, 30,000 nonprofit customers using Salesforce technology, and 1% resources. And so for us, that started with equity. So setting aside some pre-IPO stock so that when you go public as a company, that not only do your employees and your investors benefit, but also the community at large benefits. And it's been the reason we put the 111 frame on it is because any company on the planet, no matter what they do, no matter their size, has those assets to give back. And so, some people will say 1% is not enough. For us, if you do the math on the time, for example, we actually give 2% of time, knowing that not everyone's going to be able to take their full allotment. 1% of equity is a lot for a startup, not as a early stage startup, but as you get bigger and a little more diluted, 1% of equity is significant. And what I'm really most proud of, and I think, everyone who's watching the show today can really think about, is not only giving one of those assets, whether they're time, which is very easy to do, product, or equity, is that we now have 8,500 companies who've taken the pledge in 100 companies around the globe, 100 countries around the globe, And it's generated, we predict about $1 billion in net new philanthropic dollars. So if I just take a couple examples, Twilio, DocuSign, Dropbox, Okta, these are some companies that have gone public just in the last year to 18 months and, did the equity set aside and now have good amount of assets they're now deploying back to the community. And Twilio is an example of somebody who's also came out the gate doing some impact investing work as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's drill down on that impact investing that you're doing. You've talked about, did you say you'd made 8 investments?
18.
18 investments. Okay, you mentioned that many are led by women or people of color. Very exciting. Tell us about your investment criteria. What are you looking for? And what does the portfolio look like now?
Yeah, thank you. So we are looking in the 4 categories that I talked about before, which are education, workforce development, diversity and inclusion, and sustainability, sort of / climate action. So we're looking for entrepreneurs that are working in these areas. We don't lead rounds. We're typically a Series A, B funder. We are looking for companies that are integrated or built on the Salesforce platform. One of the really strategic elements of working with a corporate partner is being able to access our ecosystem of customers, our product developers. So it's a really nice additional benefit than traditional venture money, and that we're able to really connect them to product experts, in some cases sales experts, pricing experts, and really surround them with resources that can really help their businesses grow.
It's exciting to be able to see the potential, the strategic impact that you have in addition to the sort of conventional source of funding.
Yeah.
Oftentimes venture capital firms preach that, but aren't the social entrepreneurs or the entrepreneurs they invest in don't always echo that sentiment.
Yeah, that's right. One of the things that we did, Devin, is we brought all of our portfolio companies together, and the ventures team does this as well. We peeled off our fund companies and we brought them in for a day of essentially education and learning and networking, which again, I think is really unique in the venture space. So we brought them in, we did a session on pricing, we did a section on channel sales, we did a section on product development and QA. So really they were able to work and think really deeply about their own business with some subject matter experts that have been at it for a long time. So I think it was a really, and one of the funnest things for me about that day is that they all connected with each other. So now we have Andela developers who are building for Hustles, another one of our portfolio companies. Some of our other companies, Elvest, there's an incredible company we invested in. Former managing director of Merrill Lynch, Sally Crenshaw. I don't know if you know Sally, but she's incredible. And she's really working on the investment gap for women. Just like there's a pay gap for women, the same is true with investment. Women tend to be underinvested, more conservative investing. And so Sally is really trying to break that model, and she's using artificial intelligence, and we're helping her to power that through Einstein, which is our AI product that we've built in. And so getting her in front of some of those AI experts as she's thinking about how to best support her customers was really a great win for her, I think.
No, that's cool. Now, how is the fund performing? I realize these are relatively early days.
Yeah.
Are you from a financial standpoint, happy you made these investments?
Really happy. We've done very few write-offs so far. You're right, it's early days. We are tracking at par with the rest of the portfolio companies. We are committed to taking non-concessionary returns as part of our fund strategy. And we're just seeing really good growth with these companies, incredible entrepreneurs. And, one place that we're actually looking for more founders is in the sustainability and climate space. I feel like we need to move faster there at a global level,
Yeah.
particularly in this country specifically. But we have one investment with a company called Measurable, which is doing really interesting things, managing real-time and data analytics on energy usage for buildings. We use them here at Salesforce, and they're integrated into our analytics platform. But we are looking for more founders that are working in the environmental space. A little tougher as it relates to enterprise software, which is one of our criteria, although it's not the only criteria. We are seeing a lot of IoT companies, which is really interesting and exciting. But we need to go faster for climate change. And so, the more deals we can do, the more power we can put behind those entrepreneurs, the better.
There is real urgency on the climate change front, isn't there?
There really is.
I think this IPCC report that came out last fall certainly was a reminder that we have a deadline.
We have a deadline. And the good news on that, one of the things that I have a direct line of responsibility on is our climate change programs here at Salesforce, specifically for that reason. And one of the things that we're seeing being driven by the investor community is more disclosure and transparency. So we're proudly the only U.S. company who won the accounting award for the Prince Charles Trust this year, which was the Finance for the Future Award. But what we're most proud about that is that we now disclose all of our energy usage on our 10Ks. It is not yet a mandate. I hope it will be a mandate for companies to do disclosures in that area. But I actually think business can move significantly faster than government in some of these areas. And so we're really looking for more transparency and more proactive programs.
Suzanne, as you reflect on your career at Salesforce, and it's an impressive career, what are you most proud of having accomplished?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I think what I'm most proud of having accomplished is that philanthropy, improving the state of the world, does not live in the foundation at Salesforce. It lives with every human being that works in our company. We've really empowered the lines of business to really own their own programs. It's not something that was an add-on or is done by a small group of people in a side room. It's really being driven by all leaders in the business, whether it's the CFO who agreed to put the environmental reporting in our 10K, or the head of human resources, which makes part of our new hire training program a volunteer activity, so that when you start at Salesforce on your first day of work, you're given your laptop and you're given the company messages, and then you're sent to a soup kitchen. Whether it's to IT, who is really looking at how to, for example, increase retention rates for our IT staff, and are looking to do that through, youth that are maybe not on the particular track. So we partnered with a group called Year Up, and Year Up is an incredible workforce development organization that trains kids in technology skills. And, all of that is owned, built by, we in the foundation and corporate relations will sort of sometimes connect the dots around partnerships, but it's really driven and owned through people in the business. And why I'm proud of that mostly is because we are 30,000 people now. We have had a lot of people come in and out of our doors, and a lot of the executives who have left have brought this value with them as a result of that, because they believed it, they owned it, they ran their own programs. And so it's really great to see those seeds that are now really blossoming all over.
What's the most important lesson you take away from your years at Salesforce?
I think gratitude and humility are everything. This is not a marketing play for our company. It never has been. It's driven really from the heart and the goodness in people. And the gratitude component is just, I feel like we have been so blessed to live where we live, to have what we have, to work for an incredible company like Salesforce, that it's really our obligation to give back, but in a way that gives perspective, I think, for all that we have been blessed to have. So end of the day, those are kind of my mantras around lessons are, be humble and be thankful.
Suzanne, you got started at Salesforce early, and you could have taken any number of career paths, including, I'm sure, retiring long ago. Why have you focused on the impact side of things, the philanthropy side, and why do you stay with it, stick at it? And when I say you could have retired long ago, I mean to suggest you probably have done very well financially, not that you are old enough to retire.
I don't know if I'll ever retire. If you meet anyone in my family, I love this work. I'm a capitalist by training, by nature. It's just really fun for me to work with both nonprofits and for-profits. I've sort of pivoted in my career to work more with the for-profits now. Think that the line is blurring between the ability to make change, no matter your legal structure. I stay with it because I love the work. It makes me a better person. I also I'm someone who really likes to do the work versus talk about it. So, I have many kids that I've raised that are now, young adults that I've had the pleasure of meeting through this job. I've learned way more from them probably than they've learned from me. So it's deeply personal. You should see my house at Christmas Eve, the sort of mashup of people in my life. I have children of my own now. I took them to Africa last summer, and we went and worked at a school in Nairobi in the slums, and Salesforce has gone every single year to the same school in the slums for 16 years in a row. Another large software company, who I won't mention, went to the school once, took a bunch of pictures, and never came back. So, it felt really good to bring my kids there. Some of the girls that I've now known for 15 years, and they have kids of their own. So, deeply personal, really rewarding. I can't think of any other work that I like doing more.
Oh, that's brilliant. Suzanne, as you think about your life, what is your superpower?
I don't think I have a superpower, really. I think maybe, if anything, my superpower is um, to sort of connect people to each other, and then get out of the way. I have a fairly good intuition, and I've been able to build an incredible network. So, the executives and managers that I've been able to sort of put on boards of organizations that I've met and just get out of the way on that, I think they have built beautiful relationships, things I never would have thought of. So maybe if I have any superpower at all, it's just, connecting like minds.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, Suzanne, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. It's just a rare privilege for us to get a peek inside such a powerful organization, and we appreciate you sharing that, your time and the work that you're doing. Before you go, would you take just a minute and tell people how they can learn more about the philanthropic efforts and the impact investing at Salesforce, and then how they can connect with you personally?
Sure, absolutely. So we have you can look at the Salesforce sustainability website. You can look at salesforce.org, which really talks more about our philanthropy. We have a site for the impact investment under the ventures part of our website. But really what I would encourage people to do more than anything is to go to www.pledge1percent.org. That is where, your company, any size, any location, can really get engaged and involved in this movement. Ultimately, we're trying to build a movement, and Pledge 1% would go out of business in my dreams in 5 to 10 years, because it would just be the way that people started business. But between now and then, go to the website, find some best practices, and I can be reached easily at SDiBianca at Salesforce.
Fantastic. Well, again, Suzanne, thank you so much for being with us, and we wish you every success in using your tremendous resources for good in the world.
Thank you, Devin. My privilege to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Let's do some good.
Thank you for listening. Devin Thorpe's mission is to end extreme poverty, improve global health, and mitigate climate change before 2045 by finding and sharing the stories of those who are doing the most good. You can join with other listeners to accelerate Devin's mission by visiting helpdevin.org right now.